Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. So today is our Param Pujya Papa's 138th Jayanti. For the past 2-3 days, Papa has been prompting us to dwell on the period of struggle he went through from 1920 to 1922. Not 2 years, 3 years. To convey to us the spiritual journey is an uphill task. With perseverance, with patience, with endurance, with humbleness, with prayer, if we try to invoke the blessings of the indwelling Lord, we will be able to march ahead. If at any point the million mind steps in, finished, everything gets lost. So when we were going through what are the important points as a devotee or a sadhaka, what am I to carry with me? Everything I may not be able to follow, but something I will definitely try to follow. The past 2-3 days, so many points have come up. Will everybody join in pointing out the salient points which help Papa to raise himself from the individual level to the Mahatma level? Everybody can suggest. Need not be in the chronological order.
Sustained faith.
Huh?
Sustained faith. Sustained faith.
Sustained faith. I will begin so that the episode should be there. When God gives us a test, his wife was critically ill, he lost all hope. Suddenly there was a photo of Srimad Pandrakashan Swamiji of Shiralima. He looked at it intently and prayed. And after the prayer, signs of improvement started. In the wife's recovery, and then she fully recovered, and then Papa was prompted to have something like equanimity, though not in full measure. A certain amount of dispassion started developing in his heart. We can say probably the first signs or symptoms of his spiritual journey. And then after that,
minimized the needs.
huh?
He minimized the needs. Minimized needs.
So only reading saints' books. Reading.
All ladies
Minimize is yes. He was leading the barest with the barest minimum. Yes, then
All ladies would prefer the mobile.
that is right. That was the result, you know.
Prayer.
No, he was also going through books, not merely reading, but with the needed chintan, manan. Books of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's, books of Sri Swami Vivekananda, Swami Ramatirtha, Yoga Vasishtha, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. It was not merely reading. Then, regularly he was attending bhajan. And his bhajan, attending bhajan and our attending bhajan is different. What happened to him at that time?
He was meditating at that time.
No, there was self-forgetfulness. Self-forgetfulness. He got immersed in it. He was
in silence.
So the bhajan. Again from start, when God gave him a test, he was able to place his faith entirely on him. From that moment onwards, he developed dispassion to a certain extent. He knew the power of the faith. And then, next verse.
Swamiji, Swamiji,
Going through the books.
he lost, he would lose body consciousness.
He would lose body consciousness when he was sitting in bhajan. So he was rebel. Then Swadhyaya was there. Then self-denial, you know, barest minimum.
Chanting Ram Nam.
Continuously chanting.
And he was chanting Ram Nam. Yes, then
influence. Gandhiji's
Meaning of
influence.
Mahatma
he was closely associating with the teachings of Mahatma Ji. That also accelerated his journey.
For 6 months, in all 22 hours, he was chanting continuously.
He was steadfastness, and though he was not getting any encouragement, on the contrary, he was getting discouraged. Everybody was discouraging him. But still, that sustained faith, you know, fixed resolve and sustained faith, that kept him unmoving from the stand. That is also a plus point. God did not apparently encourage him through his near and dear ones. He was passing through stressful moment because God put him in such a corner where there was no hope of any recovery for him. The providence had to play some miracle because the mounting liabilities, he did not know what to do. He was passing through such a stressful period, but still he did not lose heart. Because when somebody came forward to help him in response to his prayer, he told him frankly that it won't be a wise investment, you know, not in so many words. But still, God saw to it that he was relieved from the financial problems, but that did not in any way dilute his commitment, which in the normal course anybody would have. And then his intense sadhana of remembering him, meditating on the attributes remembering him through chanting, and the severest form of tapas, getting up 4 o'clock in the morning, going to the Kadri cave, having a dip, drawing water. He will have his bath, he will wash his clothes, then he will sit for 3 hours for meditation. Such type of life, alone. Then, according to the writer of the book, Passage to Divinity, almost for 6 months he was not sleeping at all. Because the entire time he wanted to remember him through chanting. And in order that the mind space is fully devoted to God, he reduced all the basic needs, something less than the barest minimum. And then
Papa used to go to the source of everything. One day, perhaps.
Then he was slowly feeling, he was getting freed from the me and mine. He knew that the roadblock is the feeling of me and mine. Unless and until one gets freed from the me and mine, the spiritual journey will not get accelerated. But he was very, very clear about it. So he prayed. One important thing is, he was not observing anything that is traditional. His was a unique path. He teaches that so long as you are depending upon help, counsel, advice from outside, it will never become yours. For some days you will practice and then leave it. But when you are relying on the God principle inside, whatever the prompting he gets from within, he will be able to hold on to it. Throughout this period, never was an occasion for Papa to go to anybody, to go to any spiritual organization, to go to any mutts, to go to any Mahatmas. Whatever may be the plus point one may get, bluntly, he makes it clear that one should rely on God who is within. So he was not bothered about whether he gets encouragement from outside or discouraging attitude by others. He was not at all affected at all. He was not at all affected. He doesn't expect anything from outside. No outside factor could stop him or give him a boost. That he was very, 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 very clear. And absolutely free from traditional approach. Absolutely free from tradition. So, and he prayed. So when he has established this communication between the indwelling reality and the sense of individuality, he prayed. This is an important prayer. No? All of us should keep on reminding ourselves about it. Remove the I-ness from me. When everything is dying, what is there for us to say that I have done this, I have done that, I have planned, I am doing it. Without him I am zero. When that being the truth, My attempt should only be to remove the me and mine. In the second chapter of In Quest of God, elaborately this is discussed. And then, anything else?
Just realize the hollowness of the life.
Before? He must have been intensely going with him, and that gave him this strong conviction that the life lived in this time is futile. All, O Ram, is thine. All things are done by thee alone. Thy slave's one prayer to thee is to take him under thy complete guidance and remove the I-ness in him.
Swamiji, Swamiji, அதாவது I am not the bodyங்கிற எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் வந்தால் தான் me and my போகும் சொல்லி சொன்னேன். கேட்ட சொன்னேன். இஸ் இட் ஓகே Swamiji? அந்த எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் வர வரைக்கும் me and my இருக்குன்னு சொல்லுவேன். I am not the bodyங்கிற எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் வர வரைக்கும் me and my சொல்லி அப்படி இருக்குது.
அப்படி சொல்றாரு.
Swamiji?
அப்படி சொல்லிக்கல. அதுவும் வரலாம், பட் அது அல்லாதக்கையும் வரலாமே. அவர் கொடுத்த பாடியாக்குன்னு சொன்ன அந்த பிரச்சனை வராது. அவர் கொடுத்த பிளாட்ஃபார்ம். He has given us a platform called this body mind intellect. Then the I-ness will not come. Whatever we do, we will not own it. So retaining the sense of individuality, that is body mind intellect, one can develop this attitude by fully realizing that everything is his. When I came from my mother's womb, I did not bring anything. And everything has been set here by the mysterious power in the form of his creation. He also gave us a little freedom of thinking that we are an individual. He gave the raw material. He gave us the intelligence. He gave us the life force. He gave us the consciousness. And then he gives us an opportunity to make use of the creations and to bring it out new creature comforts. So everything that we see, ultimately the ownership is with him. So when I realize this reality, then the me and mine question will not come. Even though they will be having the body consciousness.
Intellectual புரிஞ்சிக்கலாம் வெளிய எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ்ல வராது இல்ல Swamiji. So இதெல்லாம் intellectual புரிஞ்சிக்கலாம். அது எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ்ல வரணும்னா
we have tried. Why should we think that it is only intellectual level? We have not tried.
Try பண்ணலாம்.
Try. It is possible. Most important thing is, all these things, when God started equipping him one by one, preparing him, at one particular point, he also blessed Papa to know the feeling that he is the guide. The indwelling reality is the guide that he was made clear. his words. It was the momentous time when he was to cut himself away from all the moorings that held him to this world and set his tiny boat sailing in the infinite expanse of the divine ocean, seemingly without a rudder, chart or a compass, daring the very storms and tempests that would ceaselessly assail him and try to crush his spirit. But Vittalrao was fortified in the knowledge that it was the divine pilot who was guiding his little boat into the unknown and uncharted seas. Where then was the need for any fear or where any need of anxiety? That is the biggest purpose point. He was being led, It was a leap actuated by the same great power as had placed the divine mantra on his lips and turned his vision towards it. And Vittalrao was all ready and eager for the grand adventure. And when the Supreme Hour struck, an adventure that meant untold suffering and mortification of the body, in the language of the mystics, it was to be an adventure to storm the city of God and win eternal freedom. Anything else?
He didn't hide the fact that business was losing, even when somebody came to help him. He didn't hide that business was actually losing.
That was also a gift. He knew the outer circumstances were made in such a way. He did not identify with the business at all. Had he identified, he would have definitely made use of the offer and then started rebuilding his life. But that did not affect him at all. Though the friend came forward and liquidated all his liabilities and made a lot of expansion, to him it was not a big plus point. To us it's a very big plus point.
So he was already dispassionate.
Yeah, dispassion. These are very important points, very important points. Something of it we might be able to take. Every adverse circumstance, he was able to face it with total faith in God. God has placed him in such a position, and God must have some purpose behind it. That faith was there strong in him, and he was not getting desperate, he was not getting frustrated. And at one time when there were signs of such frustration, like where is rest, where is peace, immediately God came to his rescue. And he said, yes, the prayer was heard from the great void. Came there. Trust me,
Thou shalt be saved. Despair not.
Despair not.
Despair not, trust me, thou shalt be free. This was the heart's cry of Ramdas. The cry was heard from the great void. So he was very, very clear about it. And we also read why he added Om to the Rama Mantra. His father initiated him with Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. But later on, he added Om to it. after going through Swami Ramtirtha, because Ramtirtha was a great votary of Om. We had elaborately discussed about it. It stands for the Nirguna Tattva. Anything else?
In the case of Papa, it's completely going by the reality. It's completely going by the inner voice and indwelling reality. In our case, only how can we strengthen it? Because we do hear indwelling reality, but we are very not so strongly, and we are not following that all the time.
Papa could hear. We also hear, but not strongly. And can you repeat, Anil Kumarji?
Yes, I think that indwelling reality with Papa is present and is following, or has become one with that. We also get some that kind of reality. Saying something that we are unable to follow it all the time. We do our own wish. How can we make it stronger? This inner voice.
Quite right. So if we have to become aware of the inner voice, one thing is absolutely clear, that the mind should become 100% pure. Because even now we are getting the inner voice, but the me and mind puts a veil there, a curtain there. So the me and mind, when it is removed only, we will be able to hear the inner voice. That means zero vested interest, no? Surrender to the power. It becomes total. And when we have reached that state, then only we will be able to hear the inner voice. In between also, whenever our mind is passive, and the mind is broad-minded, when the mind is, in a position to accommodate the care and concern of as many of his creation, when we get inner prompting to become compassionate, to forgive, to become loving, such moments also we will get. During such moments also we will get. But we may not hear that. By the time, it comes, immediately I will go and own it. But the moment I own it, I am not hearing it. So the emphasis is given to remove the I-ness. And Papa also says, somewhere, the Viraha Dukkha, he said, if the Viraha Dukkha has to become a reality, first I must have a taste, So God will definitely make me to hear His voice. And then I lose it. Because the me and mind in me is very strong. But I still feel, I have heard it. I have heard it. Nobody else needs certify it. It was a clear-cut voice, like that, But something had again blocked. So it is not that he will not give. Even in ashram, we have seen 3-4 devotees, old devotees, they were expressing this experience. They were staying here. They were in a sattvic mood. And they heard, and the experience they had blissful experience they had, after some time, they seemed to have lost. But they said it is still coming back, but I am unable to get that again. So that means God gives them. When the mind is so pure at that time, they are in a position to hear that in the form of adesh, in the form of bliss, fullness, contentment, completeness, whatever we call it. In so many forms it can come, not necessarily through a word. That experience, they said that we are not getting it back. So then we were wondering, how can it come and go? But here Papa answers in the Viraha. So Viraha comes because I have been given the taste, He made me to enjoy the sweetness. And then later on, because of the impurity we have, I have not been able to get it again. So we keep on struggling. It's a good thing that you raised Viraha. We remember was there. Viraha Dukha, Viraha Tapo. Yes, that's what he has said. Viraha Tapo. Anyhow, let it be there. Okay. So even when we went through Gandhiji used to get this inner voice. Two times it came, and he said he was very clear. I am more surer of the truth than the fact that you and I are sitting in this room. One before the Salt Satyagraha. He had absolutely no idea. But suddenly he got up, he heard this voice, he got up. Take up this, tomorrow we will go. So when everybody rushed and asked, what has it got to do with the freedom movement? In what way it is going to have an impact on the movement? Just like a child, he said, who knows? But he asked me to do, and we are doing it, that's all. And we all know. So inner voice, or what do you call this? Inner intuitive voice. It requires purity. That is definite. Purity means me and mine. But the me and mine, suppose it is 100% now. When it is getting tamed, tapered, or what do you call it, reduced. Not that every time we are having this me and mine dominating us. But there are some pause moments in us. When we meet a saint, when we go through such books, we develop a mental attitude, highly sattvic attitude. So on those moments, definitely the mind becomes relatively pure.
Sorry, mind is still there in that. Mind is still there in the voice.
Mind is still because then you can hear the inner voice.
Not us.
All those things we cannot say now. It's also still, yeah. Gandhiji says it's a still voice. It can be. But now what we are trying to understand is the need to erase this me and mine. No?
Swamiji, when I hear that inner voice and all, I feel we are very lowest level. So I think that to reach that we have to do lot of so many means tapasya, what is sadhana. They are very me, I'm not telling about others, I'm telling about me. I'm very lower kg. So first we should get the mind pure. For that we have to do a lot of sadhana. Then, then only you can go to that level, I think.
Okay.
But it's not so. Anyhow, we have to struggle and hope for the best. No, that is my opinion.
Yeah. That is a must.
Because it is, I feel the lowest level only in our level. Because purity, of course, it may take, unless you repeat Ram Nam and so many things you have to do. Hari Om Swamiji. Thank you.
When the mind is drawn away from their beloved Lord to worldly objects, naturally they would feel miserable like a fish thrown out of water. Ramdasa's mind was craving for God and God alone. So whenever the mind was dragged down, we are not facing that. When the mind was dragged down, he was in intense agony. This state is called viraha. Viraha comes only after the first contact with him. So during our sattvic moments, he may cause, the indwelling reality may cause to get ourselves connected with him. And later on, when the mind pulls us away to the worldly things, we feel miserable. I have lost it, I should get it, I have lost it. That is what Papa is mentioning. That stage is called viraha. Viraha comes only after the first contact with him. When your mind is turned away from the thought of God and made to dwell on the objects of the senses, you keenly feel the separation caused by loss of touch with your dearest. This sort of virahatapa used to seize Ramdas off and on.
Swamiji, Meera and Krishna, will it be fitting for viragata?
Might be. That means when we lose connection with him.
Yes, yes.
Few devotees have shared their thoughts with us on the same lines, Ramnam took deep root in him thenceforward, and it was on his lips constantly, and the struggle to attain the goal grew intense. Although he had now no taste for worldly things, because of the long-standing habit of thinking of worldly objects, the mind used to be dragged to them, and Ramdas felt utterly miserable on these occasions. So we have now somewhat a clear picture of Vittal Rao struggling to get out of the me and mine, ultimately. From the individual level to a cosmic level. For that, the plunge on 27th December was caused by God. So, as devotees, as sadhakas, we are now going through it again and again and again, and then anything that can help us in our sadhana, we try to ponder over deeply and bring it out in our own way with total prayer. We have to cry, we have to cry or weep or appeal for his intervention. That is very, very important. All these things, when we listen, when we start practicing, we will get, no, we will not get. We have to have his grace. So, along with all these attempts, he is now providing us with all details of Papa's sadhana. Now, to make our sadhana more and more effective, we have to intensify our prayer to him for the direct intervention. Save us from the clutches of me and mine. And we should be vigilant that when right from morning till evening, whenever during our waking state, whenever we deal with men and matters, whether this fellow slowly creeps in and takes possession of us, or whether he is at a distance, This vigilance is very much necessary. There may be instances where we may not be able to be totally away from them. Geographically, we cannot be away from them. But then how to develop an attitude where we become totally indifferent to it, insensitive to it, unresponsive. We don't recognize at all. If that can be developed, probably it might answer some of our problems. If somebody says something or does something, and which in the normal course we will immediately retaliate. Suppose we give a deaf ear, or we become indifferent, positively indifferent, udasina, probably we may be able to. Those will not be affecting us. That means in our workaday life, there should be a blend of all these things. Not merely in puja room, not merely in bhajan time, not merely in Ramnam chanting time, not merely in Swadhyaya time, but also in our day-to-day activities. If the impact is not there in our dealings, then the progress may not be there at all. It will be like our snake and ladder. Sometimes we will go up, sometimes we will go down. That is not what we want. We want a steady progress. So that means spirituality, as Papa used to say, outer activity should be compatible with inner aspiration. Inner aspiration is to dedicate everything to Him. That is inner dedication, inner aspiration. So outer activity should be compatible with. So if the me and mine comes and dominates in all our outer activities, we cannot expect much progress. That is also very clear now. So there should be a harmonious blend of the spiritual values in all our day-to-day activities. It should not be limited to the so-called labeled spiritual practices. That also in this book, he brings it out, that when he was passing through somebody was those signs, the signs of compassion. He felt a comradeship with all living beings and swept away by compassion for all those who suffered. He now also became highly sensitive to the pain and suffering of others and felt as if he himself was experiencing all the pain and sorrows which others were undergoing. He had become extremely kind, charitable and forgiving toward the workmen serving under him. He freely moved among them, treated them as equals. One evening, Vittalrao was passing along the road leading to the Kadri hill. He met a bullock cart. As he neared the cart, he found the cartman was mercilessly beating the bullocks to induce them to go faster. Vittalrao could not bear the sight. He actually seemed to feel the smarting pain of the blow every time the cartman heavily laid the lash on the bullock's back. With a loud cry, he begged the cartman not to beat the poor dumb creatures, but the cartman heeded not. So before another blow was dealt, Vittalrao ran away from the painful scene. So simultaneously, all these things also, we should watch whether it is developing in us. These are all signs of the me and mine getting erased. That means becoming sensitive to the sufferings and demands of others in and around us. In our mind, we nothing keep it as ours. Anything else?
So he did not seek help from any astrologer or other spiritual leader. He accepted the mantropadesha from his father, both open arms.
Probably that is the
Tradition.
only act. You can say it was from the outer factor, yes. The one and only. He was by himself chanting Ram Ram, but that also he did not seek.
He said Ram arranged.
He did not seek.
Being in a Saraswat family, he might have received earlier from his father Gayatri Mantropadesha during the Upanayana. Traditional. This is it.
I don't know. Because he was not having any inclination for these types of rituals.
But Swamiji, neither was he considered to say, I have got the inner voice has given me the mantra, I will hold on to that. I am not going to take your mantra. He did not even do that. He accepted that also as a divine intervention.
But if at all we can say an outer factor, that is the only one. And when father volunteered, he did not say no. He did not crave for it, agreed. But
Also, he
that
attributed
weird
to
mind had already gone from him. So he did not insist, no, I will
he
not.
did not see. But he has mentioned a lot about the difference between one's own chanting and the mantra given by a guru. That he emphasizes. He was telling that he was chanting before Ram, Ram, Ram. But when he was chanting Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, after receiving the initiation, the progress was fast. That he says. So we can say the one and only outer factor that has figured in his life is the mantra initiation from his father. Though he did not seek, when it was offered, he accepted it fully. As you said, taking it as God's will. I think that is the same word he has used.
He mentions Swamiji Ram arranged.
Ram.
Something like that. Some
Yes,
good.
Swami. Says very clearly.
Initiation.
Ayyo.
Ramdas initiation.
You were mentioning that of course, spiritual progress was made faster after he added that Om, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. And unable to understand how do we say something is faster, something was not faster.
He himself has said, not that we are ready. He himself says, today after morning we read it.
Mantra initiation.
Mantra initiation.
Initiation book. It is there.
There, here he says, father came, son, what are you doing? Ramdas replied, God is making me repeat Ram Ram. He looked happier and addressed Ramdas. Instead of you are repeating only Ram Ram, I will give you a mantra which I received from a sannyasi. Just take it. He called Ramdas inside the house, initiated him with the mantra Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. To the mantra given, there was no prefix of Om. Okay. Later on, Ramdas added Om because he was very much attached to Swami Ramtirtha, whose mantra was Om. He thought that Ramtirtha wanted him to add Om to the Rama mantra. Om, the primary nada or original sound, has come from God, the impersonal infinite reality. Through Om, the whole universe has become into existence. Therefore, Om, made up of the three sounds, A-U-M, correspondingly signifies the three kalas, three avasthas, three gunas. We have to take our mind to the beginning of all things and merge ourselves in the Nirguna Brahman. Then only shall we realize that the whole universe is filled with infinite truth. Then he says, Ramdas accepted him as his guru and started repeating the mantra. Ramdas's progress was now more rapid than when he was merely repeating Ram Ram. He found that mantra received from the Guru had more power than the mantra given by anybody else or taken by oneself. As already stated, Ramdas had now entirely to depend on Ram Nam, as he could not attend the daily bhajan in his brother's house. So he has mentioned about the importance of initiation. Same.
Thank you, Swami. Hari Om.
Yes.
Sent by Ram, he mentions.
Here.
Here he clearly mentions sent by Ram.
At this stage one day, Ramdas' father came to him sent by Ram. So every time at that time, he had reached a stage where he was a puppet and God was making every arrangement. No?
Before initiation also.
Anyway, minor details are academic, I agree. So we try to understand it. Wherever we can try in our own sadhana, no? We try to bring it. From all these, that's why yesterday I said we will make a list of all these step by step. And where are we now? And whether we can try anything. Starting with a prayer to him, that our equipment is not yet ready to plunge in the way in which Papa could do it. We know that. Our equipment is not at all ready. So you have to now step in and make it ready. Make it ready for us to pray to you also. For your intervention. Otherwise we also read prayer. Today also in Bhajan Hall we read the prayer. No? Whether it has a deep impact or a surface level impact, only that person will know. Anything we repeat, initially we may have that. Then afterwards, it becomes a part of the routine, that's all. So on the most auspicious day of 138th Jayanthi, today, Papa had given us a lot of points for us to ponder over and then again approach him. He has made everything available to us. We ponder over the thing. We select what can be done, what cannot be done. And then we approach him, enable us to do it. We can take it like that. For the past 2-3 days, he has been listing out the various steps by which we can move faster to him. So now, having heard all these things, we are now approaching him. You kindly put us on anything that is okay for us. Because after some time, we should not leave it. We should have that commitment. That is more important. Commitment on our part should be there. That is called fixed resolve. Today morning at the time of flag hoisting, we read out Pujya Swami Muktananda Maharaj's Sandesh, message to us. He said, while hoisting the flag, we are committing, it's a commitment. Our aim is to scale the heights. So the commitment should be there. So by hoisting the flag, I am committing it. Yes, I am dead earnest again. I am dead earnest in scaling the heights. So similarly, our commitment should be there. commitment comes out in this form, like I will go on repeating the mantram so incessantly and to such an intense degree as to make these very walls resound with its echo. Vitalrao would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, run to the Kadri hill. These are all because of the commitment, Commitment toward the ideal. In one of the tanks, he would have his bath, and after bath he would go to an elevated rock and sit down for meditation till about 7. Later he gave up even his midday meals. It may be that Vitalrao was entirely without sleep for 6 months consecutively, and the Lord's name never left his lips even for a moment during this period. Vitalrao was adamant in his resolve and refused to accept anything. The letter, his brother wrote a letter, and he replied in which he says he had realized the hollowness of life. I did not pursue the matter as I knew it was useless. So a lot of churning, inward journey, Chintan, Manan, that was all going on prior to taking the lead.
So Swamiji, the leap was final. So it was all coming to that.
So that means Nirantara Abhyasa, Nirantara, about the hollowness of the life.
Nirguna.
Hollowness of life. Vyartham.
He was convinced about the hollowness of it.
Today we strive for a target, we put in our heart and soul into it, we sacrifice many things for that, and finally we attain. And after a few days or a few moments, the charm goes. Then whatever we have got, then now the struggle is to preserve it. This is how he was analyzing all the hollowness. Every time when he tries to have something, it is there, 100% effort is there. What happened to that individual? Unless and until he feels that God prompted him to do it, it is God's mission that he is doing it, not his target, then the whole problem will not be there. God wanted him to go through this, including sadhana. This is what we learned from Papa's books. Previously, we thought, we have to do this, we have to do that. Yeah. Apparently, we have to do this, we have to do that. We have to avoid certain things, we have to do certain things. But all the time, we should know that it is He who is behind the prompting. And unless and until we get connected with that, this will not be sustaining. After some time, we get disconnected. The dilution comes one after another.
Swamiji, today we have many factors that will go against the sustenance. Yesterday I asked you the question, today you gave the answer.
So whatever He has placed before us, we have to now again masticate, We have to again do the churning. Because even how he went through the text, the same thing, we are going it afresh. We have already heard, mind will say, but we should say no. He now commenced reading afresh the lofty teachings. These works seemed now to unveil to him a deeper meaning and significance than they ever did before. The mind will immediately say, we have already heard this, we have already read this. But we say, no, again we have to go through it, again. Then only the different facets will be unfolded before us. And immediately we will come to know where we lack, where we have to improve. And then we pray to him. Our equipment is not in a position to sustain this movement unless you make it perfectly alright, unless you make it committed. Even for commitment, I need your grace. Otherwise, what happens the moment I start dealing with men and matter, this gets diluted. Unknowingly, it gets diluted. We have seen one friend, now it comes to our mind. He is in the midst of all activities. But whenever any Mahatma comes or any request from such people or such institution comes, he will immediately, overlook all other things. Give topmost priority to it. And he will make commitments which will be difficult for his assistants to honor. But he is not bothered. So we have seen, yes, now we remember that. Even while living in the midst of all these activities, suppose suddenly God causes a visit of a Mahatma or a person coming with a letter from a Mahatma. That is enough. Immediately he will stop all other these things, prioritize this and attend to this. So that means the commitment is there in his mind.
That is burning all the time. That is burning
all the time. So it may be difficult. People who are handling his affairs, we used to find it difficult to handle because he will also make commitments which we may not be able to honor it. But he said, honor it, that's all. Come back me. That was his commitment. We have witnessed, yes, now Papa reminds us. He will stop all other activities and then go with them and then try to attend. Need not be a person with ochre rose, Any Mahatma, any noble person. Selfless, value-based life, suppose he needs, and he says something to him. He will immediately drop even his stand on that. Suppose he takes a different stand and somebody calls him and says, somebody whom he feels, highly evolved soul, and he will immediately, okay, right. I thought this is now that you say, I drop it. That's all. So that means that it is not impossible to develop this commitment, even in the midst of all activities. It is not impossible. It is possible, of course, provided His grace is there in that form. And he never has any regret because of that. Morning we shared, suppose after bath, after his puja, till that period he will not talk to anybody, not attend to any calls. So everybody knows during that particular time there is no use of talking him. But commitment is there. It was easy for him to connect himself with the ultimate because the commitment is kept alive, strong. And was already 5:10. So many points Papa has given us today. Please make a note. Let it not simply get faded. No? Tomorrow when we hear something, or day after tomorrow when we take up something, all these things will go. No? There should be a commitment to this particular. So let us all make an effort to put down a few words, so that every now and then when we go through that words, we are reminded of this and slowly develop an inclination to develop this commitment for this higher life. Not lukewarm. Commitment should be there. Can you? Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Ram. So tomorrow is Sunday. Pranam. Day after tomorrow we'll meet, and again from 19th onwards for the next 10 days we will not be here. So we will all meet again after 30th. Day after tomorrow we'll meet. Thank you.